Come on in. The Lair is back going into our Shield database for Marvel Rivals. We're pulling file 4 today, and we're going to go with our first Strategist, which is Marvel Rivals classification for their support class. None other than the indomitable Jeff the Landshark. Now, if I'm being honest, on my wildest bingo card, did I ever think that this character had a chance to get in, much less would actually get in. But I am definitely glad he's here, because man is he fun. I know, it's crazy. Supports are fun in this game. So with that, I can't suggest any harder that for your sake, and to a lesser extent the sake of your teammates, that you learn a support in this game. You will thank me, you will thank yourself. You're not losing out because they're fun. And comparatively, I would probably say this, debatably maybe with Rocket, is probably the hero I would suggest first for you to dive into the support classes. He's just kind of got it all. Debatably the best heal in the game outside of Luna Snow's ultimate. Damage and pressure. There's just not a whole lot that he's missing here. So, as we do in typical fashion, we're going to break down these abilities, give overall tips, strategies for those starting out or that are just curious as to how this character works. And then after that, we're going to get into some gameplay to showcase at least some of those things being utilized. This is going to be from the first game that I got to play with him. So maybe not all of the things will be in there, but it'll still give you a great starting point as to how this absolutely ridiculously cute little tyke works. So with that said, let's pull this file and see what our boy Jeff's got for us. Jeff's first normal attack is going to be his Joyful Splash. Now, it's an attack, but naturally it doesn't deal any damage. As you can see, it heals. Not only that, it passes through your allies and will heal allies that are either grouped together or just conveniently placed behind one another, as you'll naturally be using this in a sweeping motion, as this is a hold-like fire attack, more like a flamethrower, I guess. Water gun is more apt, but you're going to be using this in a sweeping motion to heal multiple allies at the same time. What it doesn't show you here is its insane range, and I cannot understate the word insane. Like it can't be understated. The range on this move is insane. If there is not a wall separating you and the person that you are trying to heal, you can see them, you can heal them. For that reason alone, this move is also what's going to make you a very prime target once you especially start mastering it from the enemy team, because you just will keep everybody that's near you alive from just quick spraying with this little water attack. It also, which I don't also believe that it does the best job of showing you here, because they get healed right after a small burst from the enemy Punisher, or the bot Punishers, whatever you want to call them. But it also, I'm just gonna flat out say, it heals quicker than every other heal ability in the game outside of Luna Snow's ultimate, which, to be honest, is kind of a more no die field than like straight up like it's healing. But that's the explanation that they're giving to you as to why it's a no die field, is the healing. But nevertheless, this thing heals. This water attack heals insanely quickly. You will bring people back from the death within a second, and let's say a second and a half at the most, to fully heal someone who's about to die, even for tanks with more health. It obviously has a quote-unquote ammunition, as you can see down there. It has 50 per magazine, and then you have to go through a small, let's call it reload animation. But it's also one of the fastest reload quote-unquote animations in the game, just period. So You want to obviously be constantly using this. You're playing a support anyway, so you should already be kind of like keeping your head on a swivel for the icon that tells you when an ally is in critical need of healing. But yeah, it's such a great heal, and there's no cooldown for it, that you're pretty much going to want to be just always using this to fill off people's health regardless, because it's that good. And like, do not underestimate the range. You can straight up save someone from across the map with this attack. Reloading also reloads his primary attack, normal attack, which we'll get to here right now. But yeah, definitely constantly use this move. Jeff's second normal attack and primary attack is going to be Aqua Burst. And once again, like Joyful Splash, it is blessed with insane range. I cannot do not downplay the range of this attack, both when you're playing Jeff and when you're playing against him. This move hits far. And as you can also see, it hits hard. Very much so. About a quarter damage. Punisher has 250 if I'm not mistaken. And as you can see, it doesn't take very much to take down the more basic, let's call that the normal health value. Tanks obviously have a bit more, and there's certain exceptions even in that. But in addition to that, as you also see in the tutorial vid, it deals AoE damage. Now, those that aren't hit with the projectile in of itself do not take as much damage as the target itself. But obviously, for all of the obvious reasons, that AoE is something to seriously consider when using this character. For that reason, you want to always be firing this move because of the damage, the range, and the AoE's capability to hit multiple targets that are grouped up on the enemy team. All of this is 10 times more true when combined with his team up ability, which we'll get to here in a second, which makes all of this even that more relevant. You'll see when we get there as to why. But even without that, just on its own, you want to always be firing off these aqua bursts from the back of the line because of the range you have, with the exception of like Rocket. I mean, to be honest with you, pretty much a good amount of the supports can do crazy amounts of damage straight up from the back line, outside of debatably Adam Warlock maybe. But I'm gonna go on a limb and say it's most true for Jeff. We talked about Rocket not that long ago, and obviously he can also deal extreme damage from far away, including the back line, with the rate of fire on his minigun. But Jeff has that ridiculous rate of fire, as you can see, combined with AoE, and if anything, even more range than Rocket, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure this hits even further. So an absolute great kill confirm move right here for you, and even off of things that your teammates are doing, or even better, to peel enemies off of your teammates, which is fancy shooter talk for making someone who's harassing one of your teammates either disengage from that or turn their attention to you, because the amount of damage that this does and just how deadly it is. Obviously, for that reason, great for pushing OBJs, especially with the AoE, because people have to move around when you're firing this thing off. So always be firing this thing off. It has the same reload for your heal, which is one of the fastest reloads in the game. So always, if you're not using your healing water, fire this at all times. This is it. This is the key to Jeff for sure. Jeff's first ability is going to be Hide and Seek, which is definitely up there for one of the more insane abilities. First and foremost, this move doesn't have a cooldown. As you can also see, it gives you the ability to move omnidirectionally on walls and any surface, with the addition of giving our boy Jeff here a nice and I do mean nice, movement boost. Nice enough that you become the fastest character on the ground. You debatably are faster than the Flyers outside of Spider-Man, obviously. Spider-Man's 100% still the fastest as far as movement and whatnot is concerned. But obviously, the fact that this move doesn't have a cooldown, the fact that you can use it to go up a wall, pop out of the wall, and now you have um, vertical position either via standing on something like this or just popping out the wall itself and just dropping it on someone's head. Always also great to use. You're not invincible or invulnerable or anything while you're swimming away, so you can still be killed while you're swimming through solid matter. Which I'm pretty sure one of the reasons that your dorsal fin sticks out. The bright side is that we're gifted with one of the best little tidbit lines in video gaming history, with Jeff humming the Jaws theme song when you do this. And no, it doesn't ever get old. It can't ever get old. Nothing Jeff can do can ever get old. So yeah, obviously this is your repositioning tool, especially again because there's no cooldown on it, so you constantly can just pop in and out. There's even a couple doesn't work as great against players with a bit more experience and skill, but you can actually pop in and out while firing. As you can see, you do the little dive. You always do the dive into this hide and seek move, so you can actually pop in and out and get off aqua bursts while going in and out from the ground. Again, mixed results against people with a bit more experience and skill, but nice little, if I'm gonna give you a little fun tech. But other than that, pretty self-explanatory. Use this move for repositioning to get back into the fight from respawns. Most is the definite time that you're going to be using this, because again, the movement boost is crazy. But other than that, great flanking, because you're extremely hard to see when you're this small. But that's about it for this. Alright, Jeff's second ability is going to be his healing bubble. I know, you thought when they gave him the best healing primary in the game with his joyful splash, like that's about it, right? It can't get too much more great than that. Jeff is coming for best support in the game, and I'm personally, in my opinion, think that he's winning it. Healing bubble here fires, let's call them projectiles, which they look more like projectiles here in the little tutorial video than what they actually are. They actually go out wherever you're aiming, and they will stay on the ground. I guess you can see better in the second part there. The bubble, when it's picked up, does its own initial healing, which, to be honest, isn't the greatest or the most amount of healing. It's probably some of the lower healing that you can get in the game for picking up the bubble itself. But what the bubble obviously also does is increases the healing that that person now receives, making his ridiculously fast healing joyful splash even more ridiculously fast healing. Like ridiculously, I mean, you can see it right there in the second part of the clip here. You're talking about a few, because you can tap fire, I guess is the tip I could give you for joyful splash. I didn't go over a little while ago, but as you can see, well, yeah, he's more using the bubble to heal, but joyful splash will heal with 2 or 3 of the ammo resources. So always you want to be constantly spitting these bubbles everywhere that you are, everywhere that your team are. They stay for an extremely long time. I don't know what the amount of the total amount that can be on the ground is. Obviously, the other support on your team healing becomes better. So like we touched on with Rocket, it makes those with, for example, maybe not as good of healing ability comparatively to Jeff even better. So yes, use this move all the time. Alright, Jeff's passive is going to be Oblivious Cuteness, because of course it is. I mean, what else would it be? What other special passive, what else does he need? That's all he needs. He's got that in spades. So this is going to reduce the damage that's taken from critical strikes. Critical strikes in this game, at least as of right now, unless this changes on release or with certain heroes / villains that get released and they have ability that says otherwise, critical strikes are headshots in this game. So hitting your opponent in the head will do more damage with any hero. That includes melee heroes, ranged, whatever it is. It does more damage from hitting in the head, as pretty much shooters has indoctrinated us for decades, for those of us that have been around this long. So obviously, since the, I don't know, front 65% of his body is all head, they figured that would be pretty busted if he, took normal damage values from critical strikes like everyone else. So they baked it into his passive that he does not. He takes reduced damage from critical strikes. It's still a decent amount of damage, as you can see. He gets hit here with not a whole lot of fire from the Punisher here. Super short burst, and it still does significant damage to him, enough that he is still very easily to be taken down, because the entire of his hitbox, front of his hitbox, basically his head, and they couldn't just turn it off for him, right? They couldn't just take off the ability of critical strikes. That would be he'd be truly busted. So his passive lets him take less damage from that. So obviously take that to your advantage. But also obviously it's technically, unironically, I think something to keep in the back of your mind, that you do take critical hits more easily than everyone else in the game. But at least this is a bit of a net to give you a little bit more leeway. That's about it. Now, as we've already hinted at, his first team-up ability is going to be Frozen Spitball. This is a team-up that requires either Luna Snow. I think it just straight up requires Luna Snow. You might actually also be able to get it if you have a Namor on your team and Jeff, but I'm pretty sure it just has to be Luna. So, future spoiler alert, Luna and Namor originally already had this type of team up, so Jeff got kind of added into that, which is a super cool thing about team up abilities. Remember that they can always change over time. They're talking about potentially adding new ones, changing ones, taking ones out, etc. Anyway, as I alluded to earlier, when Luna Snow is on your team, which is also an amazing healer, so you probably have a good team comp going here, especially depending on the skill of that Luna Snow. Everything that we've talked about here, as far as Jeff, with the exception of his Joyful Splash, and his movement gets a boost. Also, I guess let's just say his primary. So, that's the only thing that matters. Now, I know you see the cool ice effect and everything on the ground. As far as this is all, again, based upon the alpha and the beta. This is liable to change on full release, but as of right now, that didn't deal an additional, slowdown effect or anything like that, or damage over time from enemies walking into it, as far as that I noticed personally, or even from walking into it myself. It does just give you a nice, better visual of the AoE of the attack. This appears to be a much bigger AoE also, comparatively to when Luna Snow is not on your team. So obviously you want to utilize this because your damage is even more ridiculous. The AoE thus is even more ridiculous because of the increased amount of damage that you're doing here. It's really just a great ability. You press this button and you turn this on, the slide animation you go through, and you become a kill monster from the back line, because no one's really paying that much attention to it. They probably got bigger problems in front of them, literally. It's insane. So you have a Luna Snow on your team, utilize this ability. You have a 30-second cooldown, and that is for a reason. That is for a reason to show you further the strength of this ability. You get a good 10-ish seconds of just ridiculous damage capability. So definitely utilize this ability when available at every given chance. Jeff's final team-up ability is going to be New Friends. A bit surprising to me, but once again, 100% glad they added. This is kind of what I was just touching on, how obviously Rocket and Groot were the only two that had this, and we got another character small enough, so it makes sense. Why the hell not? Super great. So this is definitely one of the things about this game I'm most looking forward to, are these team-up abilities. So yes, Jeff can ride the shoulder of Groot just like our boy Rocket. So pretty much everything we talked about in the Rocket breakdown applies here. Debatably even better, because it's even easier to heal the Groot that you're attached to with Jeff, for obvious reasons, that he has a water gun instead of the bouncing orbs, which can miss. depending on the angle that they hit the ground and what, for example, the Groot is doing, etc. The angle that you're at, all of that. That Jeff doesn't have that problem. You just aim down and sprinkle some water on this tree, and he'll be thankful for it. And again, since his heal is better than Rocket's by a significant margin, this is an even debatably, hate to say it, better combo than Rocket Groot. Because as you can see right there, like this I think does a better job than like the initial video for Joyful Splash. It's showing you just how fast Jeff can heal, and this is obviously not even with the healing bubble buff attached to it, which thus increases his healing even more to make it even faster. So you can just shoot a bubble in front or below, and it'll pretty much hit the Groot that you're attached to, and then Joyful Splash him. And do that, but even faster. So, also don't underestimate the strength of this combo. You don't have the rate of fire necessarily that Rocket does, obviously, but you definitely deal damage, and especially with that AOE, making you just as much of a deadly mobile turret when utilizing this ability. So, definitely utilize it cautiously, but regularly. Alright, going into Jeff's ultimate here. I know y'all thought we forgot. I didn't. Had to say the best for last. Going into his ultimate, and probably one of the most ridiculous ultimates in the game. It's Jeff, and you damn right it's Jeff. So, when you use this ultimate, it says that you activate hide and seek, which means that you're underground. Even though like the hide and seek part doesn't apply until you actually like truly activate it, which is after the targeting reticle. But while the targeting reticle is on the ground, as far as I know, you are invulnerable. So at the very beginning of this animation here, when you see the targeting reticle on the ground, you can't be attacked while in that state, as far as I know. Now here, you can be attacked once you've actually chosen targets, or like actually eaten either allies and or enemies. Then you are targetable. So whoever is in range, whether that be ally or enemy, is chomped up by our boy Jeff here. And then you get, they don't do the best part about showing you, but you get complete movement. And since you're in quote unquote hide and seek form, you have complete autonomy up walls omnidirectionally to take the people that you have now taken prisoner and do with them what you may. Now obviously I know most of you first person shooter brains out there are like, oh well, let's troll and toss him off the side of a cliff. This game actually allows you to do that. So on this stage in particular, over there to the right, they didn't want to show that, but you actually can stroll over there and quite literally spit the enemies off the side of a cliff. You actually have two different buttons. So one button will be binded to spitting out the enemies, and one button will be binded to spitting out your allies. While you have these people, and as you can see, you have a good like 8 seconds or so to decide what you are going to do. The entire time that time is ticking, your allies that have been chomped up are constantly healing, and the enemies that are chomped up are constantly taking ticks of damage. To be honest, you heal a bit more than you deal damage with this move. So if anything, that's what I would say to consider. It's a great heal. I know at first I was like, and even on paper when you read it, you're like, why would I want to chomp up? It sucks that I have to chomp up my allies in general. Yes, it kind of does, but obviously those heals and whatnot, you can also save their life. You can chomp them up real quick, let them get that quick healing, because the healing is a bit bigger than the damage, and then spit them right back out, and then you guys engage back in the fight. Obviously this is an objective master. It's one of the best ults for objectives, because even if you don't chomp up the enemies, they all have to jump out of the way. So we're gonna get to it right here in this combo, but definitely utilize this thing. Now, what does all of that look like in tandem? Well, obviously you're going to pretty much always be moving with hide and seek. Very few times where you're not going to be in hide and seek and moving around, short of like, obviously you're with your team and you guys are really mobilizing, so you're always going to be in your hide and seek anyway, which is great because you are an extremely small target. With the movement boost and you being one of the most ridiculously fast characters in the game, it's so easy to enter into engagements, flank, etc., etc. undetected. Only you can hear the little jaw steam that Jeff likes to hum. So obviously you're going to be entering into battles uh, a lot of the time with hide and seek. Again, unless you're just straight up pushing with your team, because in that case, obviously, joyful splash, healing at all times, because that heal is just absolutely too great to not be utilizing at all times. Constantly doing damage for as much as I can praise his heals and whatnot. Obviously, again, the range and the damage and the AOE of his primary attack, regardless of whether or not you have Luna Snow on your team or not, is just way too good. It's way too good. So constantly dealing damage no matter what with his primary fire attack, or his primary fire, and throwing healing bubbles everywhere. They last a ridiculous time, a debatably ridiculous time. Constantly throwing healing bubbles as your team is moving, so that there's a trail of them. So even when your teammates do inevitably die, they have maybe trail of heal bubbles. Because they might maybe they get into trouble trying to get back. Or for example, you got a Spider-Man on your team that they like to utilize their movement. They go all the way back. There's a trail of heal bubbles. They got a lot to pick from. Again, it doesn't do the most damage, but then they can at least come and get some more heals, and that healing is increased because they picked up the healing bubble. And then obviously using your ult whenever available. All of the modes are objective based modes with the exception of one that's more kill confirming, but use that ult. The fact that ults have a little audio cue that goes off is all you need to make people full blown get up out their seats and move around. They will move right up off that OBJ when they hear that Jeff ult is about to go off, and or see the reticle, because they can see the targeting reticle. And if they don't, well, now they're a prisoner of war, as this clip does better of showing you spit them straight up off the side of a cliff. Obviously, even when cliffs aren't available, because they always won't be, conveniently a pitfall, it just chopping up different. And again, even if you don't get a lot of them, one or two, even one, depending especially on who it is, let it be a tank or even a healer. Like literally, you can't lose from chopping up one of the enemy's teammates, and now they're kidnapped. You'll also pull the attention, because a lot of time people will try to save their teammates, so they'll be trying to shoot at you, which you're obviously an extremely small and fast target to hit while in your little hide and seek state, because you have their teammate held captive and is dealing damage as they're held captive. So just spitting them in the opposite direction of where their team is. Especially if you're using comms, you can communicate with your team, spit them to your back line, and have your teammates surround them. So at the moment that you spit them out, well, now that they get focus fire down, and it's pretty much a guaranteed KO. Don't worry too much about if you do end up chomping up your teammates with the ultimate, because it is going to happen. Just obviously try to coordinate that again, or use it to your advantage again. Sometimes your teammate will be mad, but you also maybe just save their life by doing that, because they were actually going to lose that fight that they thought they were going to win. But obviously, if you have a Luna Snow on your team, then all of this is applied 10 times even more so, because of the more damage you have. But that's pretty much it to Jeff. Obviously, be constantly on the lookout for healing, because you are a heal machine and constantly dealing damage. Made it this far in the video, I'll say thank you. Obviously, we're going to get into the gameplay here, as we typically do. Whatever it is that you're going through, I hope that you get through it. Again, thank you for watching this wherever you are, whenever you are. And until the next time, we'll be right here at the Lair.
You'll need a top-notch team to win this one. seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Feel the thunder.
You're my favorite, you know?
Favorite what?
Superhero. As a role model, I mean. Did you really go time traveling with Krakoa?
I did. And as soon as we fix what Doom did, I'm going back. Have a tailwind.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's end this quick.
Doom is a powerful magic adept. They expect you to face each other again.
Help get that vehicle to its destination.
Protect Spider-Zero as she journeys toward the shrine of the Weaver. Thor, sometimes I forget you were literally born for this.
I like the cold. Magnetism can't handle a deep freeze.
Be strong. During my storm, ride the wind.
God!
I am barely harmed.
Whatever you must do, Spider-Zero, we will get you there to do it.
Well, Midgard has a worthy son. Enemies. Perfect.
You're halfway there. Keep going.
A shortcut through space. I must be healed. Thor, sometimes I forget you were literally born.
Almost there. Don't turn back now.
Whatever you must do, Spider-Zero.
Fear that center.
The vehicle reached a checkpoint. Keep up the momentum.
The beacon is no longer broadcasting. Feel the wrath of the goddess! Patch you up. Someone scratch my back.
Behold the God of Thunder!
Faster, my friends. Ride the
Your powers are mine!
I am barely harmed.
Rocket's yawn machine met Mjolnir.
faster, my
Well.
friends. Midgard has
Hell unleashed! Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man! Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
Double KO.
I unleash the Vishanti's power! Our enemies are near.
It's the grand finale.
Not myself! We will guide Spider-Zero to the Weaver.
You need me.
You're halfway there. Keep going.
Enemy in front of us.
Be strong. We ride fight for the web of life and destiny.
Almost there. Don't turn back now.
Got you! Welcome, my minion!
Vehicle reached a checkpoint. Keep up the momentum.
I'll patch you up. Bullseye.
I see them!
Judge, jury, executioner!
Happy to help.
Come on, minion!
Resist your dark side.
Well, Midgard has a worthy sorcerer after all. Oh, were you looking for an armor?
We are undefeatable!
This is real firepower!
Anything standing in your way.
Asgard's might!
Well, Midgard has a worthy sorcerer. Spider Hero, Odyssey will reach the ring.
Behold, the
See
child!
them! Hurricane incoming!
Funding our brood.
By the eye of Agamotto! I can't move. Beholds the god of thunder!
So much for Midgard's protection. A nice deep freeze.
You're wrong to protect your rear.
Odinson! Protect Spider Zero as she
So close! This is your big chance!
I will always end this quick. Be swift.
There they are.
A mighty fire pistol!
A nice deep freeze.
Grand finale!
Sorcerer Supreme! I wish you had always been Asgard's ally.